Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another round of, well, deep diving.
Always up for an adventure, especially when it comes to the unpredictable world of crypto.
Speaking of unpredictable, today we're tackling a bit of a head-scratcher. Bitcoin seems to be stuck in a holding pattern.
Yeah, it's been pretty stagnant lately, hasn't it?
While some altcoins are hinting at a potential breakout, we've got two articles to untangle this crypto conundrum.
Sounds intriguing. What sources are we diving into today?
First up, we've got Cointelegraph serving up some analysis on Bitcoin's indecisiveness. And get this, Bitcoin's indecisiveness could drive investors to SUI, APT, TAO, and WIF. Those are the altcoins to watch, apparently.
Interesting. I've had my eye on a few of those myself. What's the other article?
Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride. CryptosNews.com throws us a curveball with Sioux City to recover $500 million Bitcoin buried in landfill.
You're kidding. Okay, now I really want to hear about that.
Oh, it's a story for the ages. But first, let's circle back to Bitcoin. Cointelegraph talks about it being range-bound between $60,000 and $65,000.
Right, range-bound. Essentially stuck in a bit of a rut, not making any significant moves up or down.
Exactly. And for those of us who don't speak fluent financial jargon, that means...
It means Bitcoin's taking a breather, consolidating. Think of it like a runner catching their breath before the final sprint.
Okay, makes sense. But here's what's throwing me for a loop. Investors are still pouring money into Bitcoin ETFs, even it being, as you say, in a rut. Why would they do that?
Good question. You see, institutional investors, the big players, they're looking at the long game. They're less concerned with these short-term fluctuations and more interested in Bitcoin's overall potential.
So they're not worried about this little pause?
Not really. They see it as a buying opportunity, potentially, like stocking up on supplies before the price, inevitably, or so they hope, takes off again.
Okay, so the big players are playing the long game. But if Bitcoin's chilling out, what does that mean for the rest of the crypto world? Is everything else just on hold until Bitcoin decides what it wants to do?
Not necessarily. This is where things get interesting. This is where altcoins might have a chance to shine. Like those mentioned in the Cointelegraph article, SUI, APT, TAO, and WI. They could see some action if Bitcoin continues its holding pattern.
Right, those altcoins. So the article dives into why they're primed for a potential surge, but it throws around a lot of technical jargon. Anything in there that stood out to you in plain English?
Well, they talk about SUI breaking through a resistance level at $2.18. Think of it like breaking through a barrier. It's a really positive sign.
So SUI is like, move over Bitcoin, I'm coming through.
Pretty much. This breakout suggests it has the potential to climb even higher.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the other altcoins? Any other potential breakout stars?
APT is another one with potential. It's facing some selling pressure right now, kind of like a tug of war between buyers and sellers.
Oh, I see. So if the buyers win that tug of war...
Exactly. If APT can push past this resistance, it could really take off.
Okay, so we've got SUI breaking barriers and APT in a tug of war. Speaking of tug of wars, this whole Bitcoin situation has me thinking about that CryptosNews.com article you mentioned, the one about the guy who's suing to dig up a landfill.
Oh, you mean the $500 million hard drive? Yeah, that's a wild one.
It's unbelievable. This guy, James Howells, accidentally threw out a hard drive with a fortune in Bitcoin on it. And now he's locked in a legal battle with the city council for the right to excavate the entire landfill to try and find it.
It's like something out of a movie. Talk about a high-stakes treasure hunt.
I know, right? And get this, he's offered to cover the cost of digging up the landfill, which they're estimating could be around $12 million.
Wow, that's a lot of garbage to sift through.
Tell me about it. But the city council is still saying no. They're worried about the environmental impact and the logistics of such a massive undertaking.
And can you imagine the precedent it would set? Everyone who's ever lost a valuable hard drive would be lining up to dig up their local landfill.
It would be complete chaos. But you have to admit, there's something about this story that really makes you think.
Absolutely. In a way, it highlights the two sides of this digital world we're living in. On one hand, you have the potential for incredible wealth and opportunity, like with Bitcoin and these altcoins we're discussing. But on the other hand, it's a stark reminder that our digital actions have real-world consequences.
And sometimes those consequences involve massive, smelly landfills. Who knew? But we're just getting started. Stay tuned, folks, because when we come back, we'll delve deeper into the potential of those altcoins and explore what this landfill saga means for the future of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's a crazy story, right? But you're right. Let's get back to those altcoins. We talked about SUI and APT, but what about TAO? Did anything about TAO stand out to you from the Cointelegraph article?
Well, I have to admit, I was a little thrown off by that whole negative divergence thing they mentioned. Sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds a bit scary, but it's really just a technical term. Basically, it means that even though TAO's price has been going up, the momentum behind that upward trend might be slowing down a bit.
So it's like a car that's still moving forward, but maybe running out of gas.
Exactly. The article mentions that TAO is kind of stuck around $680 right now, and if it can break past that, it could potentially go up to $760 or even higher. But that negative divergence suggests it might be a bit of a struggle.
Okay, so TAO needs a boost to get over that hump. What about WIF? What's the deal with that one?
WIF is interesting because it recently went back and tested its breakout level, which is actually a good sign. Imagine a student retaking a test they aced it. Shows they really know their stuff.
So WIF is like the star student of the altcoin world right now.
Potentially. The Cointelegraph analysis suggests that if WIF can hold strong above $2.89, it could be on track to reach $3.58, maybe even $4.
Not too shabby. But after hearing about that guy who lost his Bitcoin fortune in a landfill, it makes you wonder, even if these altcoins take off, what good is it if you can't access them?
It's a good point. It really highlights the importance of understanding the risks that come with investing in cryptocurrency.
It's definitely not like putting your money in a savings account, that's for sure.
Exactly. It's a whole different ballgame. And that's why it's so important to do your research, understand the technology, and take security seriously.
So it's not just about picking the next big winner. It's about protecting your investment once you've made it.
Exactly. It's about being smart, being cautious, and never investing more than you can afford to lose.
It really is a whole other world, isn't it? I mean, we've gone from talking about Bitcoin taking a breather and altcoins gearing up for a potential surge to, well, someone potentially losing a fortune in a landfill. It really makes you think.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? All this talk about market trends and technical analysis, but at the end of the day, it's about understanding the bigger picture.
So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway for the average person trying to navigate this wild world of cryptocurrency?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway here is that the crypto world is constantly evolving. What's hot today might be old news tomorrow.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. So it's not just about trying to pick the next Bitcoin. It's about staying informed, being aware of the risks, as well as the potential rewards.
So do your research, understand what you're getting into, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Because we're still in the early stages of this technology. There's a lot of potential, but also a lot of uncertainty.
It's like the Wild West out there.
In a way, it is, which is exciting, but it also means we need to be prepared.
So like any good explorer, we need to pack a map, a compass, and maybe a good dose of caution.
Exactly. And speaking of exploration, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from Bitcoin's holding pattern to the potential of altcoins like SUI, APT, TAO, and WIF, and of course that unforgettable story about the lost Bitcoin fortune in a landfill.
Talk about a cautionary tale.
It really drives home the importance of understanding the technology, protecting your investments, and, well, maybe double-checking your trash before you throw it out.
Words to live by. But seriously, it's been fascinating to delve into this world with you, to explore the potential and the pitfalls of cryptocurrency.
It's always a pleasure to talk crypto. It's a topic that never gets old.
That's for sure. And on that note, we'll wrap things up for today's deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in the ever-changing world of cryptocurrency. Until next time, happy investing, and be sure to back up those hard drives.